A South Suburban mayor up for re-election next week is feeling the heat from her residents and questions from our news team.
We spent months trying to get a simple answer about her salary.
You know, after the super mayor ended up losing the Democratic primary against Jason House, while I did feel good for the residents of Dalton, this left a hole in my bebe heart and also definitely will leave a hole in my wallet. The fact is, the super mayor 100% was good for this channel, despite the fact that she was terrible for the village of Dalton and for the Thornton Township. So when I saw a local Chicago news report on a South Suburban mayor that happened to be a black woman that was playing games with the finances in her particular town, I decided I had to cover it. So this is that video on Linwood's mayor, the discount super mayor, who turns out to be possibly fraudulently enriching herself, despite the fact that the salary is nowhere near what she's taking home according to public records. Now we're going to get into this. We are going to break this down, but before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
Morning, Mayor Curry. I'm great.
This interaction is months in the making. CBS News Chicago heard from residents that Linwood Mayor Jada Curry is taking home nearly triple the amount that's in the budget. Our calls and emails asking for an explanation didn't get us too far, so we took a trip to the south suburb.
Can we talk to you about some questions circulating about your salary?
Over a statement to you all.
So this is the South Suburban mayor in question, a woman called Jada D. Curry. And as you can see right here, the local news affiliate has tried to get information on her particular salary from records requests. However, it's being blocked, so they decided to show up in Linwood in order to confront her. And she appears to be unloading a large black SUV, which again, hopefully is a Chevy Tahoe. I want it to be a Chevy Tahoe because this may be the spiritual successor to the super mayor. Now, of course, right now she's saying that she gave them a statement, it was a written statement, and all these different allegations, or as the real super mayor would say, allegations.
False allegations and not facts.
Are in fact nonsense in every possible way. There's nothing going on in this South Suburban suburb of the city of Chicago, and the fact is, you trying to go after her are basically you beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power, as the super mayor would say.
Because y'all got false narratives out there, and y'all should be ashamed of yourself. Y'all black. Y'all are black. And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. All the stuff that y'all did to get people to come to our community, to just diss and down our community. Shame on y'all.
Now look, I know you guys are thinking, Sean, you need to stop trying to make this woman the next super mayor, and I understand that she has yet to release her diss track where she admits to a bunch of different crimes that she's been accused of over the course of years. She hasn't gotten into a brawl at a township meeting or anything of the sort, but let us focus on what she did do, or is accused of doing, because I think that is actually pretty fascinating, because Illinois is actually the state with the most corrupt politicians. The most people who have gone to federal prison for corruption that are politicians are from the state of Illinois. It's absolute madness over there.
A statement that led to even more questions about how taxpayer money is being spent in Linwood. More on that after some quick history. In 2021, Jada Curry ran for village president, aka mayor. Well before the election, this ordinance drastically reduced the salary of its next to-be-determined mayor. $85,000 a year dropped to $20,000. We know Curry knew about the pay cut because she was a trustee, and her vote is recorded right here, opposing the $20,000 salary.
So right here we have the setup for this particular story. And by the way, it's something familiar that we actually saw from the super mayor, where they ended up voting in the Thornton Township, which was not her position as mayor, it was at the Board of Supervisors over there, to reduce the salary for the Thornton Township Board of Supervisors head from over $250,000 down to $25,000 if somebody else ended up getting elected to this position. So of course, the corruption is seeped in all these local Illinois governments. That was the previous mayor trying to basically kneecap the future mayor, which ended up being this person, but she voted against it, and obviously she was aware of this because she was running for mayor at the time that she voted against this, so she knows that the salary for the position that she currently holds has dropped down to just $20,000. Now, we can talk about in a separate video or at another time whether or not that's a reasonable salary in order to pay your village president, also the mayor, They're called the same thing in this particular area, but that's not the issue. The issue is that is the salary as of right now. That is what the mayor is to be paid according to the law. But this particular mayor, much like the super mayor, is taking home far more than people expect.
You just made $93,000.
Now fast forward to 2025.
Do you have an explanation for that?
I'll take your question and follow up with you. Thank you.
Curry is running for a second term.
So yeah, according to public records, she appears to be taking home $93,000. Now, of course, this drew the attention of many in the village. They are very confused by this because if they reduce by law the salary from $85,000 down to $20,000, how the hell is this woman taking home $95K? That doesn't make any sense at all. They cut the pay dramatically. They cut it by 75%, more than that actually. Yet this woman has an increase in pay of over $10,000. It doesn't make any sense. But of course, this mayor has some very, very interesting tricks on how she increased her own pay.
Her first mayoral campaign on a platform of transparency.
Transparency. Is that what you call ignoring public records requests? CBS News Chicago had to get the Illinois Attorney General involved to compel Linwood to comply with the law.
So first of all, let us take note of the fact that the local news is very goofy right here. This woman is called Lauren Victory, and she is quite literally doing a victory lap on our screens, but she's talking about how this mayor, of course, ran on transparency, ran on fighting against the establishment, all the different various things that the super mayor ran on. However, she is obscuring records from the public, just like the super mayor, and in this particular case, it was the payroll records. Now, again, we went back and forth through this with the super mayor, where she was hiding this information, and it took the state attorney general in order to intervene, in order to force the disclosure of this information that should be public according to Illinois records laws. And just like in the super mayor case, this woman had to have the same thing happen. 2 months after they put in their requests and contacted the attorney general, they were forced to turn over the information related to payroll. And again, this is a woman obfuscating how she is making many multiples times what her legal salary is in this particular position. So it would seem like it is in the public interest for this information to be disclosed. But of course, she's hiding it because it turns out she is taking extra money based on some very shady business.
Curry brought home almost $100,000 in 2024. She's currently paid to be village president, $20,000, cannabis commissioner, $5,000, liquor commissioner, $10,000, $35,000 in the budget. So where'd the extra cash, more than $60K, come from?
So look, I gotta be perfectly honest, even though I was very invested in the super mayor saga, that particular fiasco, I thought a lot about what was going on with the super mayor was unique to her. Not that there isn't corruption in the state of Illinois. Obviously, we've talked about how they are the state with the most representatives prosecuted for said corruption, but the fact is that you're pulling in all this different money from all these different positions. You're allowed to double dip in all these various ways. Is that the norm in the state of Illinois? Also, of course, we have $60,000 that appear to be unaccounted for according to these payroll records, and the way that this woman ended up getting that $60K honestly is beautiful. It is quite literally amazing because essentially she is taking extra compensation as the mayor of this particular town in order to do basic mayoral functions. And if you think I'm joking about that, you're about to be disproven.
What do you say to people that are confused about what you're being paid?
I've given you your written response.
That written response, mentioned earlier, does account for the additional money. She's paid for meetings, we were told. It's right there on Curry's pay stub, $2,500 every 2 weeks. Wait, a mayor paid for meetings?
Well, who's making the decision about these kind of perks of the office that you get paid for extra work that is in fact part of the job description?
Yeah, you heard that right. The mayor of Linwood, this south suburban suburb, a strong, beautiful black woman that's in power, is taking $2,500 in extra payments every single 2-week pay period because she's showing up to the meetings that the mayor is required to attend. Now, I know the super mayor actually didn't show up to the second meeting that was required by law in Dalton while she was in that position because she said it was a waste of time, but somebody should have alerted her that she could have paid herself an extra $2,500 every 2 weeks if she showed up to those meetings, because apparently this is a scam that this woman is openly promoting. She is paying herself in this way, and in reality, this kind of compensation for people to show up for meetings is intended for employees that, again, are not expected to be there as a part of their actual compensation for their actual position. But this woman is saying, no, I deserve to be paid extra money for showing up and performing mayoral functions, even though those functions are required of the mayor of Linwood and do not in any way, shape, or form authorize extra compensation in order for you to do so. Again, imagine the Congress decided that not only were they going to get their $174,000 salary, but every time a bill was proposed or they made a vote, they also got an extra $10,000, and that was included on their paycheck, because you can't expect somebody that you elected to the halls of Congress to vote for free. I mean, the idea that we would elect somebody, pay them to govern in that position and fulfill all of the roles of that particular office, and then not pay them additional money for fulfilling those roles, for governing in the way that they're supposed to, that they've already been paid for, that's ridiculous. She obviously needs a bonus. I mean, what are you guys even thinking?
Would you like to sit down for a formal interview?
Curry literally closed the door on the opportunity to explain where in the budget it says she's supposed to be paid $65,000 a year to go to meetings.
Listen, Lauren Victory. I really do appreciate your reporting on this particular subject matter. Obviously, I find it quite intriguing, but don't tell me that she literally closed the door on questions that you were asking when obviously the door was just allowed to close. She did not slam it in your face in any way, shape, or form, and I will not tolerate lying or false allegations in these particular videos.
Her representative later sent us the previous mayor's pay stub to show he too was compensated for meetings. Ah, yes, there it is, a whopping $900. Not 65 G's.
You gotta love these new up-and-coming female mayors. They get into these positions from the Democratic Party, they promise all this change and transparency, and then of course you have to do the open records request, you have to end up involving the state attorney general, you have to chase them down the hallways, try to get an interview for them, they tell you that they sent out a written statement, and then eventually, after all that time, energy, and effort, they end up giving you the information and saying that it's justified based on the way that a man previously operated, and honestly, you're probably a bit sexist, if not a bit evil white and racist and sexist, for not accounting for the fact that the previous mayor also took compensation for those meetings. And then you look at the paperwork, and what you end up finding out is that even though they cut the salary of this new mayor, she's making more money than the previous one, and the whole, oh, it was justified because of the way the previous guy acted, doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't hold water, because he only received $900 in compensation, not every 2 weeks like this mayor who's getting $2,500 every 2 weeks, but $900 for the full year, compared to her $65,000 that she is receiving in additional compensation for doing her job as the mayor. Again, the entitlement off the charts, the ridiculousness of these people. It's at comical proportions, but what do you expect? It's the state of Illinois. It is the south suburban suburbs of Chicago. This seems to be standard operating procedure, and multiple different mayors in these particular areas have been indicted for misuse of taxpayer funds, and many investigations will uncover more corruption across these particular offices. And this is one of the problems with these small town governments, with these board of trustee style governments, because they have so little actual public interaction. You don't have a huge portion of the voting base actually showing up for elections. Nobody's monitoring the store, and a lot of our politics has shifted to get our attention on the national level, when the fact is you are more impacted in your day-to-day lives with what is going on at the local level. Again, this woman is just stealing $65,000, and she's using the previous mayor taking $900, which sounds much more like additional expenses that aren't accounted for her justification for it, and we're all supposed to pretend it's normal because, again, stunning, brave, and beautiful black woman, Jada D. Curry.
Curry's representative tells us her meeting pay is part of a $372,000 allocation labeled administrative salaries. At least one trustee who voted on that same budget tells us she's never heard of meeting pay.
Now look, is this woman Tiffany A. Henyard? Is this woman the new super mayor? No, unfortunately she isn't. I mean, the story's still kind of funny. She still appears to be corrupt. She still appears to be hiding information from the public, misusing taxpayer funds, but there's no pizzazz. There's no actual energy with this woman. She's just dodging and weaving the local news media, not doing all the crazy things, and she nowhere near has the energy of of the super mayor who will lie directly to reporters' faces about stuff that is already in public record with the smile on her face. So yeah, while we can laugh at this particular local mayor, while we can make fun of her, while we can identify the similarities, there is a huge valley of differences, and I find that to be rather unfortunate. The quest for the new super mayor is ongoing, but I want to know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like the video, you show me by leaving a like, you subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the craziness in a South suburban Chicago suburb. Till next time.